jury back in this room for our legal witness for
You raise your right hand, please. Under the penalty of perjury, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you could just state and spell your name for the record, please.
My name is Joseph Walsh, W-A-L-S-H.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for being here today, Mr. Walsh. I'm going to try to keep this brief. Just have a few questions for you. Do you know Mr. David Davis?
Yes, I do.
How do you know him?
I consider both of us activists in Portland here, different activists in different sections, but we cross every once in a while. I monitor the city council every week, and Keith would come into city council from time to time. And I got to know him that way and also via demonstrations.
Okay. Do you go to city hall meetings, at the city council meetings frequently?
Every week that I'm able to. The only thing that would stop me is being ill.
And were you at the city hall meeting January 9th of this year?
Yes,
And do you remember Mr. Davis being there?
yes, I do.
Do you remember the events that happened that day?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay, do you remember an incident involving Mr. Davis and a camera?
Yes.
Okay. What happened?
Keith came in and he was videotaping the meeting, which he had done before, which and other people have done, and it's not uncommon for activists to videotape parts of the council or all of the council meetings or something that's interesting to the activists because they want to look at it. So Keith was doing it.
Okay, and did he have a light on his camera that day?
I didn't see a light. I didn't see a light.
Did you at any point say anything about the way Mr. Davis was being treated by security there?
Yes, I stood up and I yelled at the mayor that the GS4 guy was not de-escalating the situation. What he was doing was escalating. When he put his hand over the camera, I knew enough about Keith that would send him into an anger state. So it's him taking the video and somebody interfering with that creates an explosive situation. So I stood up and I said to the mayor, tell him to stop that. That's not right. And I got thrown out. So, that's the way I remember it.
Yeah. Do you think that Mr. Davis was treated fairly by security?
No,
Or why not?
because security, it's GS4, it's a private contractor. And their mode of operation is to surround a person and intimidate them. So if I took 4 or 5 people here and I surrounded you and got really close to you, that's intimidating. That's what they do. And in this case, they blocked the camera. The other GS4 people were in motion. And then I think Keith either yelled or I yelled, and then there was a recess.
Was Mr. Davis doing anything? So let me ask a different question. So you were pretty near the council and the mayor, correct?
Yes, I was within 15 feet of the council and mayor. They sit up on the podium, and there's a place that they have reserved for me, actually, where the scooter goes. And I'm in the front row, very close to them.
From where you were sitting, was Mr. Davis doing anything that was disruptive?
No, No, he came in to take a video, and that's not disruptive. Number one, it's allowed, and number two, it's common. They don't like Keith.
How do you know that?
Because of the way they react to him. They react to him much more harsher than they react to me. Now they throw me out. But they say, Mr. Walsh, get out. And I leave. I push it to the point where I get thrown out. They have the right to throw me out. They don't have a right to touch me. The GS4 cannot touch anybody. They don't have a right to surround me and intimidate me. They have a right to follow the order of the presiding official to get out of the room. That's it. That's a court decision.
So at the time that you stood up and yelled, well, immediately right before that, you're pretty close to where the city council was. You could see everybody, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did anybody appear to be disturbed by Mr. Davis?
The council itself, at least in my opinion, is paranoid. Whatever's going on in their mentality, they're just paranoid. We spend $2 million a year on private security at the council and the other buildings. That's a lot of money. Any interruptions, like I have been an activist for 50 years. I know the rules, and I'm not violent. I believe in nonviolence. Shut my mouth. They're afraid of me. I had the mayor come out to me and say, anything I do is not satisfactory to you, is it, Mr. Walsh? And I looked at him and I said, no. That was my answer. But that's the way they are. They are so paranoid that somebody like Mr. Davis scares the hell out of them.
One more thing I just want to ask you about.
Is my voice okay?
Yeah, your voice is fine. Do you feel it's important to be able to speak your mind at City Hall?
Yes.
Okay, and have you ever had any disagreements about this with City Hall?
Yes, I get thrown out of City Hall quite often, and also I've been arrested.
Have you ever
Because that's
sued?
the next step. If you don't leave, they arrest you.
Have you ever sued City Hall?
Yes,
And what happened?
I lost. I sued, well, let me take that back. I sued them twice. Once I lost because there was a demonstration and I crossed over the street and I was arrested for that. They said that the cops had the right to do that. In the federal court, the issue was, could a judge, or not a judge, I'm sorry, could the presiding official at a council meeting say, okay, Ms. Walsh, you're a pain in the neck, we're gonna bar you for 60 days. You ain't coming back to City Hall for 60 days. That was the issue. Could they do that, or could they just throw me out on that one item?
So they
And not use it?
wanted to keep you out for 60 days?
They did. They kept me off for 30, 60, and then they did it for 90, and that's when I took them into federal court.
And what happened?
I won the case.
And what?
And the judge said, no, they can't do that, and you can only throw Mr. Walsh out at the meeting that he's disrupting. You can't say next week you can't come.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. I have no further questions.
Am I?
Yeah, but it's fine. It's better
Okay.
than too quiet. Right, Mr. Zimmerwood.
Mr. Walsh, you said you were sitting towards the front of the city council chambers?
Yes,
And Mr. Davis was at the back?
at the back going around.
And so are you facing the front towards the commission?
Yes,
Okay. And so your back is towards Mr. Davis?
yes.
So when you said you didn't see a light, isn't that because you didn't see Mr. Davis?
Oh, no.
Okay. And the commission would be facing Mr. Davis, correct?
Yes.
So if Mr. Davis had a light on his camera, the commissioners would be the ones seeing it, but you wouldn't be able to, isn't that correct?
Well, I had turned around and looked at Mr. Davis. So I looked at him, I looked at the camera, I looked at the GS4 coming in, and I went, oh, man. I was face to face as close as you are,
Sure.
and I didn't see the light.
Thank you. Now, you mentioned that City Hall can eject someone from that meeting, but there's issues with extending it beyond that meeting. Is that's I'm sorry.
The presiding official is the only one that can eject you.
Sure, I understand that, Mr. Wilson. I'm asking, you believe there's a distinction between getting ejected from a single meeting versus getting trespass for a continuous, an extended amount of time, is that correct?
No, it's not trespass. You're being banned, you're being barred. You can't go to a public meeting. And the judge said,
Do you recall telling Mr. Davis on January 9th, you're going to be arrested?
no.
Do you believe that Mr. Davis refused to leave after he was ejected?
I didn't see that part.
Did you-
I just didn't see that part. You have to remember there was a lot of chaos going on now.
Is-
Everybody was moving, and then they went into recess. And then the mayor has a habit of not throwing people out. He tells GS4, you throw them out. And he doesn't have they don't have the authority to do that. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. I understand your concerns about who has that authority, but is it true that during a recess, no members of the public are allowed in chambers?
That's new.
Okay.
Now, and it's also optional that the mayor sometimes lets you stay, and sometimes he clears the chambers.
And
You
in
have
this,
to ask yourself, why does he want to do that?
and in this instance, you said that you were that the mayor booted you after you spoke up, but in fact, didn't he call a recess and clear everyone from the chambers?
No, the security guard threw me out. And I didn't make an issue out of it.
Okay. And my last question is, you mentioned you're an activist and that there's other things besides going to City Hall meetings that you do. Would you mind telling us what are the different forms that you use to be an activist? You mentioned
Different
demonstrations.
forms.
Forums. You mentioned you go to demonstrations.
Okay.
What are some of the other things that you do? Not content-wise, just...
Last night I went to Commissioner Hardesty's, I think she's calling it listening sessions in East Portland. We spent 3 hours coming up with some different ideas on transportation, the police, and homeless. I do a lot of work with the homeless. We are now fighting, right now, we are fighting the sweeps that they do.
How are you
They
fighting?
steal everything from the homeless, and then the homeless freeze to death on our streets.
How are you fighting those?
We are fighting it with the council. I stand there with, I have a shirt that says, "Stop your sweeps, you're murdering the homeless." And I silently leave the meeting and make everybody read the shirt. And it's true, we lose 80 to 100 a year freezing on our streets. Our streets. Yours, mine.
Are there other?
I used to be a chief union steward for the IBEW. So I did a lot of work there and a lot of work representing the union employees in forums very much like this. I am anti-war.
I'm not asking about your views. I'm asking about the forums. Did you go to
I was anti-war. I went to demonstrations on the anti-war.
demonstrations in?
I will be there at the demonstration on the 17th.
Is that in City Hall?
It's gonna be, I think, on the waterfront.
So that's
We're
not in
being
City Hall?
invaded by racists.
And so that would not be at City Hall?
It may go to City Hall.
Okay, but it's.
Last time it went to City Hall too.
Okay. Are you aware of any other protests that have occurred in Portland within the past 2 years that have not been at City Hall?
Yes, and there's all kinds of, we're having a problem right now with Joe Gibson and the Proud Boys coming into Portland, and that's been going on for 2 years. And we're fighting that. We also are fighting the possibility of going